Your mindset shapes your reality. It dictates how you see the world, how you react to challenges, and how you interact with others. But what if you could change it? What if you could shift your thinking and become the best version of yourself? In this book, you'll discover 10 powerful habits that will rewire your mindset. These aren't just tips, they are life-changing practices that will transform your approach to life, work, and relationships. Stay with me until the end. Subscribe, and let's begin the journey to unlocking your full potential. Chapter 1. The Power of Daily Habits. Your life is a collection of habits. Every action you take today sets the foundation for tomorrow. Some habits are small, but they shape everything. The way you wake up, the way you drink your coffee, the way you start your morning. These little things might seem insignificant, but over time they build your identity. They shape your thoughts, your actions, your emotions. Habits have the power to transform your mindset or limit it. We all have good habits, and we all have bad ones, but it's the small daily habits that define us, not the big dramatic moments. The power lies in consistency. The small decisions you make every day in and day out, become the story of your life. Daily habits are the invisible architects of your success or failure. They are the silent drivers of your mental and emotional state. This is why positive habits matter so much. They don't just change your day, they change your mind. And when your mind changes, everything changes. When you wake up with intention, when you move through your day with purpose, when you choose your habits consciously, you create momentum that pushes you toward your goals. But it starts small. The most powerful shifts begin with a single habit, a single action, a single thought. You can't change everything at once. That's the mistake most people make. They overwhelm themselves by trying to change everything, only to end up frustrated and defeated. Instead, start with one habit. Focus on that one small thing. Master it. Then build upon it. Consistency creates mastery. Mastery creates transformation. If you want to rewire your mindset, you must begin by controlling the smallest, most basic actions. This is where change begins, at the root level, with the power of daily habits. Each habit you adopt sends a message to your brain. It tells your mind what you value, what you believe, what you want to achieve. The brain is constantly looking for patterns. When you repeat a habit, your brain reinforces that behavior, turning it into something automatic. This is the beauty of habits. They work even when you don't think about them. But they also work against you if they're not the right ones. A negative habit, like procrastination or self-doubt, becomes automatic, and you don't even realize it's shaping your mindset. The good news is, just as negative habits can become automatic, positive habits can too. It just takes time and repetition. The first step in mastering your habits is awareness. Start noticing what you do every day, the way you talk to yourself, the way you respond to stress, the way you approach challenges. This awareness is the key to change. Once you understand your current habits, you can choose to replace them with better ones. But remember, the power of daily habits lies in consistency, not perfection. You don't need to be perfect to succeed. You just need to show up every day, even on the tough days. Consistency builds resilience. Resilience builds confidence, and confidence is the mindset that drives success. Your habits dictate how you show up in the world. They shape the way you think, feel, and act. If you want to change your mindset, you must change your habits. Start with the small stuff. Wake up earlier, eat healthier, move more, set goals, and most importantly, change the way you think. Your mind is the starting point for everything you do. When you master your habits, you master your mind. Your mind shapes your actions shape your results, and your results shape your life. The power of daily habits is simple, but it's not easy. It requires commitment. It requires patience. It requires understanding that small change adds up. As you build positive habits into your life, you will see your mindset shift. You will see your energy increase. You will see your confidence grow. And all of a sudden, You'll be living a life of purpose, with a mindset that supports your success. It starts with one habit, one day, one choice, and that choice will ripple into every area of your life. Chapter 2. The Science of Habit Formation. Habits are not magic, they are science. The brain is constantly looking for patterns. When you repeat something often enough, your brain turns it into a habit. This process is called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new neural connections based on repeated behaviors. The more you repeat a behavior, the stronger the neural pathways become. At first, new behaviors feel difficult, but over time, they become automatic. This is how habits are formed. Your brain seeks efficiency. It doesn't want to waste energy, so it turns repeated actions into habits, things you no longer have to think about. This is the foundation of all habit formation. The brain starts with a simple question: how can I make this easier? And once something becomes a habit, the brain no longer needs to actively engage in it. It becomes a default mode, and this is when habits stick. The habit loop is at the core of this process. It consists of 3 simple steps. Cue, trigger. Every habit starts with a cue. It could be something external, like the time of day, or something internal, like an emotion. This cue triggers your brain to initiate a behavior. Routine behavior. The routine is the habit itself. It's the action you take in response to the cue. This could be something as simple as brushing your teeth, or something more complex, like going for a run. Reward. After completing the routine, the brain experiences a reward. This could be a feeling of satisfaction, pleasure, or relief. The reward reinforces the behavior, making it more likely to happen again. The key to habit formation lies in this loop. When the reward is meaningful enough, the brain remembers it and craves it. It seeks the cue again, which leads to the routine, and then the reward. Over time, this loop gets stronger. The brain learns that the behavior results in a positive reward, and this is when the habit is formed. Neuroplasticity is what makes this process possible. It's the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. When you practice something over and over again, the brain forms new connections that reinforce the behavior. This is why repeated practice leads to automaticity, the point where the behavior feels effortless. But habits don't form overnight. The process takes time. The brain needs consistent repetition to build the neural pathways. How long does it take to form a habit? Studies suggest that it takes on average 21 days to form a new habit. However, the exact time can vary from person to person. It depends on the complexity of the behavior, the emotional connection to the behavior, and the individual's consistency. If you're trying to break an old habit, the process is similar, but it's often more difficult. Old habits are deeply ingrained in your neural pathways. So, breaking a bad habit requires unlearning it. This takes effort and time, but it's possible with consistency and a conscious effort to replace the old habit with a new one. The brain's reward system plays a huge role in this process. When you complete a routine and experience a reward, the brain releases dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter. This makes you feel good, motivating you to repeat the behavior. The more often you complete the habit, the more dopamine is released, reinforcing the neural pathways and making the behavior more automatic. The key to forming positive habits is ensuring the reward is meaningful. When the reward is something you truly value, the brain craves it, and the habit becomes more deeply ingrained. But rewards don't always have to be tangible. For example, the feeling of accomplishment after a workout, or the satisfaction of completing a task, can be powerful rewards. Even small rewards, like the feeling of clarity after meditation, or the sense of calm after organizing your workspace, can reinforce habits and make them stick. The first step in habit formation is identifying the habits you want to create. What is your goal? What new behavior do you want to make automatic? Once you identify the habit, you need to understand the cue that triggers it. Does the habit happen at a specific time of day? Is it triggered by a particular emotion or situation? Once you have the cue in mind, You can focus on the routine, the behavior you want to establish. The next step is ensuring the reward is meaningful. Find something that motivates you to keep going, whether it's a sense of accomplishment, pleasure, or relaxation. To make this process even easier, you can use habit stacking. This means pairing a new habit with an existing habit. For example, if you already have the habit of drinking coffee every morning, you could stack a new habit, like stretching, onto it. Drink your coffee, then immediately stretch. This makes it easier to remember the new habit, because it's tied to something already automatic. But even with habit stacking, you must still commit to consistency. Small, consistent steps are the foundation of long-lasting change. As you continue to repeat the new behavior, the reward system in your brain will strengthen the habit loop. You'll begin to crave the routine. It will become part of your daily routine, as automatic as brushing your teeth. The brain doesn't want to use more energy than necessary, so it loves it when something becomes automatic. This is why habits are so powerful. They allow you to free up mental energy for other tasks. But not all habits are positive. Negative habits like procrastination, self-doubt, or unhealthy eating form in the same way. They start with a cue, followed by a routine, and end with a reward. The difference is that the reward of a negative habit is often temporary relief, which doesn't solve the deeper problem. This is why it's so important to replace negative habits with positive ones. When you break a negative habit and replace it with a positive one, the new habit gives you a healthier, longer-lasting reward. This creates a new loop in your brain, one that is much more beneficial. Habit formation is a mental game. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency, awareness, and emotional connection to the outcome. Each small win strengthens the loop, and eventually, the positive habit becomes effortless. The key is to trust the process. You may not see results right away, but with time and repetition, you will build the neural pathways necessary to make the behavior automatic. The science of habit formation is rooted in the brain's ability to adapt, to rewire itself with consistent actions. And once that process begins, you're on the road to permanent change. Chapter 3. Replacing negative habits with positive ones. We all have habits we wish we could change. Habits that drain our energy, hold us back, and stop us from becoming the people we know we can be. Maybe it's procrastination. Maybe it's unhealthy eating. Maybe it's self-doubt or negative self-talk. Whatever it is, negative habits don't define us, but they can limit us. The good news is, we don't have to stay stuck. We can change, and we can change now. Replacing negative habits with positive ones starts with awareness. You have to first acknowledge the habit that no longer serves you. You must see it for what it is, a pattern that has become automatic. The brain has a unique way of holding on to these habits. It forms connections that make them feel comfortable, even when they don't help you grow. So, how do you break these cycles? How do you replace something that feels so ingrained in your life? It starts with a decision. You must choose to change. The brain has a remarkable ability to adapt. This is neuroplasticity, the ability of the brain to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. By consciously choosing new habits, you're training your brain to let go of the old ones and create pathways for new ones. The process begins with understanding why the negative habit exists in the first place. Every habit has a cue, a routine, and a reward. The cue is the trigger, the routine is the action, and the reward is the feeling or result that the brain craves. To break a negative habit, you must disrupt this loop. You must change the routine, but still give yourself the reward. Let's take procrastination, for example. The cue could be a task that feels overwhelming. The routine might be avoiding the task, scrolling through social media, watching TV, or focusing on something easier. The reward is temporary relief from the task's pressure. To replace procrastination with a positive habit, you need to change the routine. Instead of avoiding the task, you could replace it with a small, manageable action that leads you closer to completing it. The key is to make the new routine something that feels achievable, and still gives you the reward you seek, whether that's relief, satisfaction, or a sense of accomplishment. The more you repeat this, the stronger the new neural pathway becomes. Eventually, the new habit becomes automatic, and the old habit fades. This same process applies to all negative habits. It could be unhealthy eating. The cue could be stress or emotional discomfort. The routine might be reaching for junk food or sugary snacks. The reward is a temporary boost of energy or comfort. To replace this, you would need to change the routine. Instead of turning to unhealthy food, you could replace it with a healthier snack, or a stress-relieving activity like deep breathing, walking, or journaling. The reward would still be comfort, but it would come from a healthier, more sustainable source. When replacing negative habits, it's important to recognize that change won't happen overnight. The brain needs time to adjust, and new habits take time to form. But consistency is key. The more you repeat the positive action, the stronger the new habit becomes. The reward becomes just as satisfying, if not more so, than the old, unhealthy habit. One of the biggest challenges in replacing negative habits is the discomfort that comes with change. We are creatures of comfort. The brain seeks what's familiar, even if it's not helpful. But growth happens when we step outside of that comfort zone. The discomfort you feel when replacing a negative habit is simply your brain rewiring itself. It's an uncomfortable process, but it's the process of transformation. Another challenge is the emotional connection we often have with negative habits. The habit of self-doubt, for example, is deeply tied to our identity. It's not just a thought pattern, it's how we see ourselves. But self-doubt is a learned habit, and learned habits can be unlearned. To replace self-doubt with self-belief, you must first challenge the negative self-talk. You must replace those words with positive affirmations, with evidence of your achievements, with the recognition of your strengths. This is how you break the cycle of negative habits. It's about replacing the thoughts that fuel them. It's about telling yourself a new story, one that supports your growth and potential. It's also about self-compassion. When replacing negative habits, you'll slip up, you'll revert to old ways, you'll get frustrated. But beating yourself up only strengthens the negative habit. Instead, be kind to yourself. Recognize the slip-up and move forward with grace. Every step toward a new habit is progress, and progress is what rewires your brain. Accountability also plays a major role in habit change. When you have someone supporting you, whether a friend, family member, or mentor, it becomes easier to stay on track. Accountability keeps you focused on your goals, and it provides motivation when the road gets tough. But the most important factor in replacing negative habits is consistency. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep showing up, even on the days when it feels difficult. Even on the days when you slip, change is a process, not a one-time event. Each day you commit to your new habit, you send a signal to your brain that this behavior matters. The brain then begins to make the new habit automatic. The old habit fades into the background, and the new positive habit takes center stage. This process works because of neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself based on repeated behaviors. When you consistently practice positive habits, you create new neural connections that support your growth, your success, and your well-being. Ultimately, replacing negative habits with positive ones is about reclaiming your power. It's about making the choice to take control of your mind, your actions, and your life. It's about recognizing that you are not a prisoner of your past habits. You are the creator of your future. Every positive habit you adopt rewires your mindset. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you build the life you desire. Replacing negative habits with positive ones isn't easy, but it is possible, and with each small change, you come closer to the person you want to be. Chapter 4: Building Consistency Through Habit Stacking. Consistency is the key to success in any endeavor. It is not the occasional burst of motivation that brings results, but the steady, persistent effort applied over time. The secret to building consistency is habit stacking. Habit stacking is a technique that allows you to seamlessly integrate a new habit into your daily routine by attaching it to an already established habit. This powerful method leverages the neural pathways your brain has already created, so you don't need to think twice about your new habit. It becomes automatic, just like the habits you already have. Imagine you've already mastered a habit. Maybe you brush your teeth every morning without fail. This is your established habit. Something so ingrained in your routine that you don't have to think about it. Now think about a new habit you want to build. Maybe you want to start meditating for 5 minutes each day. Instead of trying to add this new habit to your schedule from scratch, you attach it to your existing habit of brushing your teeth. The moment you finish brushing your teeth, you immediately sit down for 5 minutes of meditation. It's that simple. This is habit stacking. By stacking new habits on top of existing ones, you avoid the overwhelm that comes from trying to create entirely new routines. You tap into the brain's natural wiring for habits and create a seamless transition from one task to the next. The power of habit stacking lies in its simplicity. You don't need to set aside special time for your new habit. You don't need to redesign your entire day. Instead, you make your new habit an automatic part of your already established routine. The beauty of habit stacking is that it's a highly customizable technique. You can pair any new habit with any existing habit, as long as there's a logical connection. Want to start journaling? Do it right after your morning coffee. Want to drink more water? Do it after you finish lunch. By building your new habit into the flow of your existing routine, you reduce the mental resistance to change. The habit doesn't feel like an extra task, because it's already connected to something you naturally do every day. Over time, these small habits compound. The more you stack, the more your daily actions align with the life you want to build. Consistency doesn't feel like a chore. It becomes second nature. Habit stacking doesn't just apply to new habits. You can also use it to reinforce existing habits. If you've been struggling to keep a habit consistent, stack it with another habit that's already established. Let's say you're working on eating healthier, but you often forget to plan your meals. Stack meal planning right after your grocery shopping. Every time you come home from the store, you immediately set aside time to plan your meals for the week. The habit of grocery shopping becomes the cue for meal planning. Now, both habits flow together naturally. Meal planning doesn't feel like an extra task. It feels like the next step after shopping. One of the reasons why habit stacking works so well is because it's rooted in the science of habit formation. When you connect a new behavior to an existing habit, you activate the same neural pathways that already exist. Your brain recognizes the familiar pattern, which makes it easier to adopt the new behavior. This method also takes advantage of what's called habit pairing. When two habits are paired together regularly, they reinforce each other, making both habits stronger over time. You don't have to fight for consistency. You simply let the natural flow of your day do the work for you. To start building your habit stacking routine, first choose one habit you already do every day. It could be something as simple as making your bed, drinking coffee, or walking the dog. Then choose a new habit you want to integrate into your life. Make sure the new habit is something small and achievable. It should only take a few minutes to complete, especially in the beginning. Now, pair the new habit with the old one. For example, after you make your bed, you could immediately take 5 minutes to write in your journal, or after your morning coffee, you could practice deep breathing for a few minutes. Start with 1 or 2 habits at a time. Focus on building them into your routine before adding more. Consistency is the key here, and it takes time for your brain to build the necessary neural connections. One of the most important aspects of habit stacking is starting small. Trying to change too much at once is overwhelming, and it increases the chances of failure. Remember that habits are built on small actions. By starting with manageable, achievable steps, you increase the likelihood of success. Once your new habits are ingrained and automatic, you can stack additional habits on top. For instance, after a few weeks of journaling after coffee, you could add a gratitude practice, taking 1 minute to reflect on what you're thankful for. And as time goes on, you'll begin to see a massive shift in your daily routine. The habits you've stacked on top of each other will begin to transform your mindset and behavior. They will compound, creating momentum. The beauty of habit stacking is that it doesn't feel like work. It's simply the natural progression of your routine, one small habit after another, building and reinforcing your personal growth. Another great aspect of habit stacking is the cue system it creates. By linking a new habit to an existing one, you create a reliable reminder for yourself. The cue is built into your daily routine, so you don't have to rely on willpower or motivation. Once a habit is stacked, you don't need to think about it. It happens automatically. This takes the stress out of habit formation and makes it easier to stay consistent. You can also stack habits for specific goals. If you want to get more active, stack a workout habit with your morning coffee routine. Every time you drink coffee, you'll immediately follow it with a 10-minute workout. Or, if you want to read more, stack a reading habit with your evening wind-down routine. After brushing your teeth, sit down with a book for 15 minutes before bed. The key is to make sure the habit you're stacking is something small, specific, and easy to follow. The simpler it is, the more likely you are to stick with it. Habit stacking is the bridge that connects the habits you want to build with the routine you already have. It makes habits easier to establish and harder to forget. Over time, these small stacked habits transform your life. They build consistency, structure, and confidence in your ability to change. What seemed like small actions at first become the foundation of your new mindset. And with every new habit, you grow a little stronger, a little more disciplined, and a little closer to the person you want to become. Habit stacking is not just a strategy. It's a way to easily align your daily actions with your larger life goals. And in doing so, you create lasting change without overwhelming yourself. It's the key to mastering consistency, the backbone of positive transformation. By stacking habits, you don't just change your actions, you change your life. Chapter 5. Tracking progress and building momentum. Success is never achieved in a single moment. It is the product of steady, consistent progress. It's built every day, little by little, step by step. But the key to sustained progress is momentum, that invisible force that propels you forward, even when things get tough. Momentum doesn't come from big bursts of energy. It comes from small, consistent actions that build upon each other over time, and the best way to maintain that momentum is to track your progress. When you track your progress, you see the results of your efforts. You measure your growth, recognize how far you've come, and identify where to improve. Tracking progress isn't just about the end goal, it's about the journey. Every small win along the way is a part of your success story. Most people fail to track their progress because they get caught up in the big picture. They look only at the end result and forget that it's the daily steps that matter. But when you focus on the small wins, you build momentum. Momentum that carries you through the days when motivation is low. The first step in tracking progress is setting clear, measurable goals. If your goal is to build a new habit, make sure you can track it. You can't measure progress if you don't know what success looks like. For example, if your goal is to exercise more, track the number of days you work out each week. If your goal is to eat healthier, track the meals you've prepared or the junk food you've avoided. The more specific you get, the easier it is to measure progress. Next, find a way to track it regularly. Use a journal, an app, or a simple checklist. Whatever works for you. The key is to track consistently. When you track your progress, you create a visual representation of your efforts. It allows you to see your growth, and it gives you a sense of accomplishment as you check off each step. But tracking doesn't just show you where you've been, it also helps you stay accountable. It reminds you of your commitment to change. The act of tracking itself reinforces your habit. It serves as a reminder to stay on track, to keep moving forward, even on the days when you don't feel like it. This constant reinforcement keeps you focused on your goals. It keeps you motivated, even when life gets in the way. Momentum builds when you see progress, And that progress feeds your desire to continue. When you feel like you're getting closer to your goal, it motivates you to take the next step. And this is where tracking becomes powerful. It turns the process from something abstract into something real. It makes your goal tangible. Every time you mark a small win, you strengthen your belief in your ability to succeed. The more you track, the more you trust yourself. But momentum isn't just about tracking your wins. It's also about recognizing the challenges. When you track your progress, you see where you've stumbled. You see where you need to improve. This gives you the opportunity to course correct before things spiral. It's about staying aware of where you are, so you don't get off track. But more than that, tracking progress allows you to celebrate your victories, no matter how small they may seem. Celebrating small wins is crucial in building momentum. When you hit a milestone, no matter how tiny, take a moment to acknowledge your progress. Give yourself credit for showing up, for putting in the work. This celebration is not about vanity. It's about reinforcing the positive behavior that leads to success. It's about reminding yourself that you're on the right path. Each win, no matter how small, adds fuel to your fire. Each step forward makes the next step easier. As momentum builds, you'll find that the journey becomes smoother. Your habits become automatic. Your motivation doesn't come from a forced effort, but from the natural flow of momentum. The more consistent you are, the easier it becomes to stay consistent. The more you track, the more progress you'll see. But even when momentum slows, don't be discouraged. Momentum doesn't always move in a straight line. There will be moments where you feel stuck, where the progress feels slower than you'd like. But that's okay. Even small progress is still progress. The key is to keep going. Even when the momentum isn't moving fast, you're still building it. You're still strengthening your habits. You're still reinforcing the behavior that will lead to success. When you hit a roadblock, look at your progress tracker. Remind yourself of how far you've come. Use that as motivation to push through the tough times. Building momentum doesn't mean avoiding setbacks. It means knowing that setbacks are a part of the process. And with each setback, you have the opportunity to bounce back stronger. Tracking progress helps you see that. It helps you identify where you've been, where you are, and where you want to go. Every moment of tracking, every step forward, every win, and every challenge is a part of your journey. Tracking keeps you grounded, focused, and driven, and that's what makes momentum unstoppable. When you can look back and see the path you've walked, you'll realize that all the small steps have led to something much greater. Each action you took, no matter how small, has built your mindset, your habits, and your future. In the end, progress is not about perfection. It's about consistency. It's about staying on track even when it's hard. It's about showing up every day, no matter what, and tracking the journey as it unfolds. Because when you track your progress, you track your growth. And when you track your growth, you create momentum that will carry you through any obstacle. Chapter 6. Overcoming setbacks and staying consistent. Setbacks are inevitable. No matter how committed you are, no matter how strong your intentions, there will be moments when things don't go as planned. The key to success is not avoiding setbacks. It's learning how to navigate them with grace and staying consistent even when everything seems to be falling apart. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean never making mistakes. It doesn't mean everything will go smoothly all the time. Consistency means showing up, even when it feels hard, even when the odds are against you, even when setbacks hit hard. Setbacks don't define you. What defines you is how you respond to them. When faced with a setback, it's easy to get discouraged, to think that all the effort you've put in was wasted, to question whether your goals are even achievable. But every setback is an opportunity to grow stronger, to learn, and to keep moving forward. When things don't go as planned, it's tempting to give up. It's tempting to think, this is too hard, I can't do it anymore. But in those moments, the key is to remind yourself why you started, to reconnect with your purpose, and to take one step forward, no matter how small. The first step to overcoming setbacks is mindset. How you perceive a setback determines how you will handle it. If you see setbacks as failures, you'll be paralyzed by fear. If you see them as opportunities for growth, you'll find the strength to keep going. Setbacks are not the end of your journey, they are a part of it. They are the test that proves your resilience, your determination, and your ability to persevere. The second step is acceptance. Accept that setbacks will happen. Accept that things won't always go the way you want. Accept that failure is part of the process. The sooner you accept setbacks, the easier it is to move through them. When you fight against setbacks, you create resistance. But when you accept them, you create flow. Think of setbacks as detours, not dead ends. A detour doesn't stop you from reaching your destination. It just takes you on a different path. And sometimes that path leads to an even better outcome. The third step to overcoming setbacks is resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back after difficulty. It's the strength to keep going, even when the road ahead feels uncertain. Resilience isn't about never falling down. It's about how you rise each time you fall. Every setback is an opportunity to become more resilient, to prove to yourself that you are capable of overcoming challenges. When you face a setback, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this experience? The fourth step is consistency. Consistency is what separates those who succeed from those who don't. It's not about how hard you work in one day, but how consistently you show up day after day. When setbacks happen, consistency means continuing to put in the effort, even if the progress is slower than expected. It's about making small, incremental improvements every day, even when it feels like you're not moving forward as fast as you'd like. The key to consistency is patience. Patience with yourself, patience with the process, and patience with the setbacks. Setbacks are part of the process, not an interruption. If you let a setback stop you, you'll never reach your goals. But if you keep moving forward, one small step at a time, you'll eventually get there. Another important aspect of overcoming setbacks is self-compassion. It's easy to be hard on yourself when things go wrong, to think that you've failed or that you're not good enough. But this self-criticism only adds more pressure. It creates a cycle of negativity that makes it harder to keep going. Instead, practice self-compassion. Talk to yourself as you would talk to a friend who's struggling. Be kind, understanding, and patient with yourself. Give yourself the grace to make mistakes and learn from them. Self-compassion is essential for staying consistent. When you're kind to yourself, you give yourself the emotional strength to bounce back. Focus is another critical element in overcoming setbacks. When things go wrong, it's easy to get distracted by all the problems, to become overwhelmed by the obstacles in front of you. But when you focus on your goal, on the next small step you need to take, you stop allowing the setback to define you. You start defining yourself by your actions, not by your setbacks. Focus allows you to cut through the noise and keep moving forward. It reminds you that your journey is about progress, not perfection. One of the most powerful tools in overcoming setbacks is perspective. When setbacks happen, it's easy to get stuck in negative thinking, to focus only on the problem and forget about all the progress you've already made. Perspective allows you to see the bigger picture. It helps you step back and remind yourself how far you've come, how many obstacles you've already overcome. By shifting your perspective, you move from a place of defeat to a place of empowerment. You realize that setbacks are just temporary and that you are capable of overcoming them. The final piece of overcoming setbacks is commitment. Commitment to your goals, commitment to your growth, and commitment to your journey. When you're committed to something, you don't give up because of a setback. You don't quit because things get tough. You don't abandon your goals because of one obstacle. Commitment means showing up every day, even when it's hard. It means keeping your eyes on the prize and taking one small step forward each time you stumble. Overcoming setbacks isn't easy, but it is possible. And the more setbacks you face, the stronger you become. The more resilient you become, the more consistent you become. Remember, setbacks are not the end of the road. They are part of the journey, and as long as you keep moving forward, nothing can stop you from reaching your goals. Chapter 7. Building unshakable confidence through challenges. Confidence is not something you're born with. It is something you build, step by step, day by day. The foundation of unshakable confidence is built in the hardest moments, in the moments of struggle, doubt, and challenge. Most people think confidence is about always feeling good, always being sure of yourself, and always having everything together. But true confidence comes from facing difficulties head-on, embracing discomfort, and continuing to move forward despite the odds. Challenges are the crucibles that shape your inner strength. They push you out of your comfort zone, test your limits, and show you what you're truly made of. When you face a challenge, you have two choices. You can shrink from it, or you can rise to it. The key to building unshakable confidence is learning how to rise, even when it feels impossible. It's about facing fear, embracing discomfort, and trusting that you have the ability to handle whatever comes your way. Every time you rise above a challenge, your confidence grows. Every time you overcome an obstacle, you prove to yourself that you are capable, and with each victory, your self-belief becomes stronger. It's important to understand that confidence is not the absence of fear. It's the ability to take action in spite of fear. Confidence doesn't mean you're never scared. It means you keep going even when you are. When you step into a challenge, you face fear, self-doubt, and resistance. But every step you take forward, even in the face of these emotions, builds confidence. You begin to realize that you are not defined by the difficulty of the challenge, but by your ability to rise to it. The more you face challenges, the more you learn about yourself, about your resilience, your strength, your capability. And with every lesson learned, your confidence becomes unshakable. The path to confidence is not linear. It is full of ups and downs, failures and successes. But each challenge is an opportunity to build a stronger, more resilient you. Start by embracing the idea that challenges are not something to avoid, but something to welcome. Challenges are the very thing that will shape you into the person you are meant to be. When you face a challenge with the right mindset, it becomes a chance to learn, to grow, and to improve. And each time you face a challenge head-on, you prove to yourself that you are capable of handling more. Building confidence is about taking small steps. It's about taking on challenges that stretch you, but don't overwhelm you. It's about taking risks, failing, and getting back up again. Every time you face a challenge, ask yourself, what did I learn from this? How did I grow? What's the next step I can take to continue moving forward? Challenges give you the opportunity to reframe your thinking. Instead of seeing them as roadblocks, see them as opportunities for growth. Instead of seeing them as threats, see them as stepping stones. Every time you overcome a challenge, you build a new layer of confidence. You prove to yourself that you are capable of doing hard things. You prove to yourself that you can trust yourself to rise, no matter what the challenge may be. Confidence grows in the face of adversity. It doesn't come from always being comfortable, but from pushing through discomfort. When you face your challenges with courage, you become stronger, more resilient, and more confident in your abilities. Each challenge you face adds another chapter to your story of success. And as you keep pushing forward, you start to realize that there is nothing you cannot overcome. This is the power of confidence. It's not about being perfect. It's not about never failing. It's about continuing to show up, even when the road gets tough. Your confidence grows as you keep moving forward, step by step, challenge by challenge. When you feel like you can't keep going, that's when you need to push the hardest. That's when the growth happens. True confidence is built when you keep moving forward, even when it's hard. It's built when you keep taking action, even when fear and doubt try to hold you back. When you start seeing challenges as opportunities, you start seeing yourself as someone capable of overcoming anything. Your confidence shifts from being based on external validation to being rooted in internal strength. As you face challenges, you become less afraid of them. You begin to trust yourself more. You begin to trust that you have the ability to handle anything that comes your way. Confidence is built through practice. It's built through action. It's built through the courage to face challenges, learn from them, and keep moving forward. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to prove to yourself that you are capable, and that you are strong, that you are resilient. And with each challenge, your confidence grows stronger, until it becomes unshakable. When you have unshakable confidence, nothing can stop you. Not setbacks, not failures, not fears. You walk into every situation with the belief that you can handle whatever comes your way. You trust yourself completely. You believe in your ability to rise, to learn, to grow. That's the power of confidence. And that's the power of facing challenges head-on. Chapter 8. Embracing failure as a stepping stone. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of it. Yet too often we fear failure, avoid it, and even try to run from it. But what if failure wasn't something to be afraid of? What if it was simply a part of the process, a necessary experience that paves the way for success? When you embrace failure as a stepping stone, you change the way you see the world and the way you see yourself. Failure doesn't define you, it refines you. It teaches you. It shapes you into the person who is capable of achieving greatness. No one who has ever succeeded has done so without experiencing failure. The greatest achievements are built on the lessons learned from past mistakes, missteps, and challenges. Think about the most successful people in history. They didn't succeed by avoiding failure. They succeeded by learning from it. They used failure as a tool to grow stronger, wiser, and more determined. Failure is the best teacher you'll ever have. It shows you where you need to improve. It reveals your weaknesses. It challenges you to rise higher. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is simple. Successful people embrace failure, while others shy away from it. Embracing failure is not about seeking failure or glorifying mistakes. It's about recognizing that failure is a natural part of growth. It's about understanding that failure doesn't mean you're defeated. It means you're learning, you're evolving, and you're moving closer to your goal. When you fail, you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. You're building on the lessons you've learned, the skills you've developed, and the insights you've gained. Every failure is a lesson in disguise. It teaches you what doesn't work, so you can adjust your approach and try again. This time with more wisdom, more clarity, and more confidence. This shift in perspective is the key to success. It's the mindset that separates those who achieve their dream from those who give up when things get tough. Failure is not a reflection of your worth or potential. It is simply a temporary setback that will lead to a breakthrough. The greatest innovators, entrepreneurs, and creators have all experienced failure. But what sets them apart is their ability to learn from their mistakes, to see failure not as a sign of defeat, but as an opportunity to grow. When you embrace failure, you stop fearing it. You start seeing it as a necessary part of your journey. You no longer view setbacks as roadblocks, but as stepping stones on the path to success. To embrace failure, you must first let go of the fear of being imperfect, the fear of making mistakes, the fear of not being good enough. These fears hold us back from reaching our full potential. They keep us stuck in a cycle of self-doubt, hesitation, and inaction. But perfection is an illusion. No one is perfect. Everyone makes mistakes, and that's okay. Perfection is not the goal. Progress is. You'll never make progress if you're constantly afraid of failing. You'll never grow if you're too worried about making mistakes. True growth happens when you step outside of your comfort zone, take risks, and push yourself to do things that feel uncomfortable. When you take risks, failure becomes an inevitable part of the process. But each failure is a lesson that propels you forward. The key to embracing failure is to change how you perceive it. Instead of seeing it as a setback, see it as feedback. Instead of seeing it as a sign that you're not good enough, see it as proof that you're trying, and that you're pushing yourself, and that you're moving closer to your goal. Every time you fail, you are one step closer to success. Every mistake you make is an opportunity to learn, to refine your approach, and to become stronger. Failure does not diminish your value, it enhances it. Because every time you fail and rise again, you build resilience, courage, and determination. These are the qualities that will carry you to success. The most important part of embracing failure is learning how to recover. How quickly can you bounce back after a setback? How easily can you adjust your approach when things don't go according to plan? The faster you recover from failure, the more resilient you become. The more resilient you are, the more success you will create. Failure is not the end of your journey. It's part of your evolution. It's a natural stepping stone on the path to greatness. The more you embrace failure, the less power it has over you. You stop fearing it, and you begin using it to fuel your growth. Failure becomes a friend, not an enemy. When you start seeing failure as a stepping stone, you stop holding back. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You stop letting fear hold you back from pursuing your goals. Instead, you act boldly, take risks, and trust that even if you fail, you will learn and grow from the experience. Every great achievement in history was built on failure, and every great success story includes setbacks, mistakes, and failures. The difference is that the people who succeeded didn't quit. They didn't let failure stop them. They used it as a lesson, a tool to sharpen their skills, a push to work harder, and a reminder that they were on the right path. The road to success is rarely straight. It is filled with bumps, detours, and obstacles. But each obstacle is an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. So the next time you face a setback, remember, you are not defined by your failure. You are defined by your ability to rise from it, learn from it, and keep moving forward. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a part of it. Embrace it, and let it be your guide to greatness. Chapter 9. Cultivating a growth mindset for lasting success. A growth mindset is the foundation of lifelong success. It's the belief that your abilities, intelligence, and talents can be developed through hard work, dedication, and learning. Unlike a fixed mindset, which assumes that our traits are static and unchangeable, a growth mindset embraces the idea that we can always improve, adapt, and grow. This mindset doesn't just affect what we do. It shapes how we see ourselves, our challenges, and our potential. It's the belief that we are capable of achieving more than we ever imagined, as long as we continue to push ourselves to learn and grow. The beauty of a growth mindset is that it turns failure into opportunity, setbacks into lessons, and challenges into stepping stones. When you cultivate a growth mindset, you stop seeing obstacles as reasons to quit and start seeing them as reasons to keep going. You develop resilience. You develop determination. You develop the belief that no matter how difficult the path may be, you are always capable of rising to the challenge. The first step to cultivating a growth mindset is to embrace the idea that learning never stops. Many people mistakenly believe that learning is something that only happens in school or during certain phases of life. But in reality, learning is a lifelong process. No matter your age, your background, or your experience, there is always room to grow, evolve, and improve. Growth isn't limited to a specific set of skills or talents, and it's about becoming a better version of yourself, emotionally, mentally, physically, and socially. When you see learning as an ongoing journey, you begin to develop a deep sense of curiosity. You start asking questions, seeking out knowledge, and exploring new ways of thinking and doing. A growth mindset encourages you to look beyond what you already know and to embrace the unknown. It opens the door to infinite possibilities. One of the key components of a growth mindset is embracing challenges. In fact, challenges are the very thing that allows you to grow. The more you push yourself to tackle difficult tasks, the more you learn, and the more you stretch your capabilities. When you encounter a challenge, don't shy away from it. Face it head-on. See it as an opportunity to test yourself, to improve, and to expand your limits. People with a fixed mindset avoid challenges because they fear failure or because they believe they're not capable of succeeding. But those with a growth mindset embrace challenges as part of the process, because they know that success is earned through effort and perseverance. Another crucial element of a growth mindset is embracing failure. Many people view failure as a sign of incompetence, something to be avoided at all costs. But those with a growth mindset understand that failure is an essential part of success. Failure is not the end. It's simply feedback. It's a signal that you are learning, growing, and pushing beyond your comfort zone. When you fail, you don't stop and give up. You learn from it. You figure out what went wrong, what you could have done differently, and what lessons you can take from the experience. Each failure teaches you something valuable. It teaches you resilience. It teaches you creativity. It teaches you patience. It teaches you adaptability. The key to cultivating a growth mindset is changing your relationship with failure. Instead of fearing it, you embrace it. You see it as an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to come back stronger. Effort is another crucial element of a growth mindset. People with a fixed mindset believe that talent alone is the key to success. But those with a growth mindset know that it's the effort you put in that makes the difference. Effort is what transforms potential into reality. It's what turns good intentions into accomplishments. It's what makes dreams come true. The more effort you put into something, the more you improve. The more you practice, the more you develop your skills. The more time and energy you invest, the more progress you make. A growth mindset encourages you to keep going, even when things get difficult. It tells you that effort, not talent, is the key to success. Another important aspect of a growth mindset is self-reflection. When you take the time to reflect on your progress, you gain insight into how far you've come and what areas you still need to improve. Self-reflection helps you see your strengths, your weaknesses, and the patterns in your behavior. It allows you to adjust your approach when necessary and to continue moving forward with clarity and purpose. By regularly reflecting on your actions, you stay on track and avoid stagnation. You actively engage in your own growth and you become more self-aware. A growth mindset also involves embracing feedback. Instead of seeing feedback as criticism, you see it as a valuable tool for growth. You understand that feedback is a way for others to help you improve, and you welcome it with an open mind. Those with a fixed mindset, on the other hand, often react defensively to feedback because they fear it will expose their weaknesses. But the most successful people are those who seek feedback, act on it, and use it to fuel their growth. Your mindset shapes how you view the world and how the world responds to you. When you cultivate a growth mindset, you begin to see everything as an opportunity to learn. You stop limiting yourself and you start expanding your horizons. You begin to embrace effort instead of avoiding it. You begin to see failure as a learning experience instead of a setback. You start to understand that your potential is not fixed. It's something that can be developed. One of the greatest benefits of a growth mindset is that it leads to lasting success. It shifts your focus from immediate gratification to long-term growth. It teaches you patience, resilience, and perseverance. Success is not a destination. It's a continuous journey of learning, growing, and evolving. With a growth mindset, you are always moving forward, always improving, always becoming the best version of yourself. So if you want to build lasting success, start by embracing a growth mindset. See every challenge as an opportunity, every failure as feedback, and every effort as a step toward your goals. With the power of a growth mindset, there is nothing you cannot achieve. Chapter 10. The Power of Consistency in Building Lifelong Habits. Consistency is the secret ingredient to success. It is the force that turns aspirations into achievements, dreams into reality. We all have grand visions for our lives, but what truly separates those who achieve their dreams from those who don't is the power of consistency. It's not the flashes of inspiration that make lasting change. It's the daily, consistent actions we take, no matter how small they may seem. In a world where instant gratification is at our fingertips, it's easy to fall into the trap of seeking quick results. We want things now, and we want them perfectly. But success is rarely instant. It is built through the accumulation of small, consistent actions taken over time. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. It means showing up, even when it's hard, even when progress seems slow, even when you feel like giving up. The power of consistency lies in its ability to compound. Small actions, repeated consistently, build momentum, and momentum is the key to success. Think about the things you do every day. Brushing your teeth, making your bed, drinking water. These small habits may seem insignificant, but over time they become part of your identity. The same principle applies to bigger goals. Whether you're working towards a promotion, building a business, or getting healthier, it's the small, consistent actions you take each day that will get you there. It's easy to get discouraged when progress feels slow. We live in an age where everything moves quickly, and we often expect results to come just as fast. But real, lasting success doesn't happen overnight. It's the result of years of small, consistent efforts. Think of a marathon runner. Elite runner. They don't train for the race by sprinting for miles. They train by running at a steady pace, day after day, week after week. Each run may not seem like a huge leap forward, but over time it builds the endurance needed to complete the race. Consistency is the same. It's about taking the small steps that add up to massive results. The key to consistency is discipline. Discipline is the ability to stick to your goals, even when motivation wanes. It's about doing what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like the weather. But discipline is reliable. It's what keeps you going when the initial excitement fades. Discipline doesn't mean pushing yourself to exhaustion. It means knowing what needs to be done and doing it consistently, day in and day out. One of the most important aspects of consistency is habit formation. When you make an action into a habit, you no longer have to rely on willpower to do it. It becomes automatic. Take exercise, for example. At first it might feel like a chore. You have to motivate yourself to go to the gym, to put on your workout clothes, to start moving. But over time, exercise becomes a habit. It becomes something you do without thinking. And once it becomes a habit, it becomes much easier to stay consistent. Consistency is built on the foundation of habits. The more you make something a part of your daily routine, the less effort it takes to do it. And once the habit is formed, it becomes self-sustaining. But habits take time to build. It's important to remember that success is a marathon, not a sprint. It's easy to get discouraged when things aren't happening as quickly as we want them to. But the truth is, consistency wins every time. In fact, the more consistently you show up, the more your brain begins to crave the behavior. It becomes easier to stick to your habits because your brain rewards you for following through. The rewards of consistency are not always immediate, but over time, they compound into significant, life-changing results. This is why it's important to trust the process. Even when you don't see immediate results, you're still building something. You're still moving forward. You're still laying the foundation for your future success. Consistency also helps to build resilience. The more you show up, the more you prove to yourself that you can do hard things. Every time you push through the resistance, you build your mental toughness. Resilience is the ability to keep going, even when things get tough. It's about having the strength to keep showing up, even when you don't feel like it, even when the progress seems slow, even when the setbacks feel overwhelming. The beauty of consistency is that it builds resilience without you even realizing it. The more consistent you are, the more resilient you become, and that resilience becomes the foundation for your long-term success. Another powerful aspect of consistency is its ability to create momentum. Momentum is like a snowball. At first it's small, but with every action you take, it gains strength. The more you show up, the more momentum you build. And once momentum is on your side, everything becomes easier. Momentum creates its own energy. It propels you forward without the same effort it took to get started. It becomes a cycle. Each small step you take builds momentum, and each burst of momentum makes it easier to take the next step. But momentum only happens when you stay consistent. It's the act of consistently showing up, even when it's difficult, that creates the momentum you need to achieve great things. The key to long-term success is not perfection, it's consistency. It's the small daily actions that over time create lasting change. When you commit to consistency, you are committing to a journey of growth, resilience, and success. You stop focusing on the end result, and you start focusing on the process. You start focusing on showing up every day, doing the work, and trusting that it will pay off. Because it will. Consistency wins every time. No matter how big or small the steps are, they all add up. Each effort compounds into success. Each habit becomes a piece of your story, a story of resilience, of growth, and of unwavering commitment. When you make consistency a part of your life, you build the foundation for lasting success. And with each small action, you move one step closer to becoming the person you were meant to be.